She had the face of an angel, soft, kind eyes that crinkled at the corners when she smiled. Velma Barfield, grandmother, neighbor, friend. Nobody suspected the darkness that lurked beneath the surface, a darkness that would leave a trail of heartbreak and death in its wake. Velma Barfield was a poisoner. Her victims, those closest to her, never saw it coming. How could they? She was just Velma, the nice lady next door with the warm smile. But behind that smile, a monster hid. A monster who would soon earn a chilling nickname, the Death Row Granny. Velma's story begins like many others, shrouded in the hardship of a difficult childhood. Born in rural South Carolina in 1932, her early life was anything but idyllic. Her father, a strict and unforgiving man, ruled their household with an iron fist. Abuse and poverty were unwelcome constants in Velma's young life. These early experiences left an indelible mark on her psyche. The seeds of insecurity and a desperate need for control were sown. Little did anyone know they would one day blossom into something far more sinister. Velma was left to navigate the shadows alone. Velma's crimes took a sinister turn in the 1960s. She was a seemingly ordinary woman living in a small, tight-knit community. But behind her unassuming facade lurked a dark and twisted mind. Her weapon of choice? Poison. It was a method that required patience and precision, but Velma was nothing if not meticulous. It was silent, it was deadly, and it left no trace. The perfect tool for someone who wanted to kill without getting caught. Her first victim was her own mother, who died under mysterious circumstances after a period of illness. Velma had carefully administered the poison over time, ensuring that her mother's death would appear natural. At the time, no one suspected foul play. The community mourned the loss, unaware that a murderer was among them. Velma, consumed by her addiction and her own twisted desires, had gotten away with murder. She felt a sense of power and control that she had never experienced before. Emboldened by her success, Velma continued her spree. She began to see those around her as mere pawns in her deadly game. Over the next 2 decades, she would claim the lives of several others, including her second husband, her elderly aunt, and a close friend. Each death was carefully orchestrated to avoid suspicion. Each time, the cause of death was attributed to natural causes. Doctors and family members alike were fooled by her cunning. After all, Who would suspect a sweet, grandmotherly figure like Velma of such heinous acts? Her outward appearance was the perfect disguise for the monster within. Section 5. Whispers and Suspicions. As the bodies piled up, whispers began to circulate. People started to notice a pattern. Wherever Velma went, death seemed to follow. But fear kept most people silent. Who would believe such a thing? Who would dare accuse a woman like Velma Barfield of murder? But the truth has a way of coming out. And for Velma, the net was closing in. The whispers grew louder, the suspicions more pointed. Section 6. The walls close in. In 1977, Velma's luck finally ran out. Her fiancé, Stuart Taylor, became violently ill after drinking a glass of tea Velma had prepared. This time, however, Stuart survived. Barely. While hospitalized, doctors discovered traces of arsenic in his system. The police were called in. All fingers pointed to Velma. The authorities had their suspicions for years, but this time they finally had the evidence they needed. Velma was arrested and charged with attempted murder. But the story was far from over. This was just the tip of a very dark iceberg. Section 7. Judgment Day. As the investigation deepened, the full extent of Velma's crimes came to light. The bodies of her previous victims were exhumed, and each one told the same story: arsenic poisoning. Confronted with the evidence, Velma confessed. She admitted to poisoning her victims, claiming she never meant to kill them, only to make them sick so she could care for them and receive their sympathy. Her trial was a media sensation. The nation was captivated by the story of the seemingly harmless grandmother who was in reality a cold-blooded killer. The jury didn't buy her story. Velma Barfield was found guilty of murder and sentenced to death. Section 8. The Death Row Granny. Velma's case sent shockwaves through the nation. How could a woman who seemed so ordinary be capable of such evil? She became known as the Death Row Granny, her case a chilling reminder that appearances can be deceiving. Behind the facade of normalcy, darkness can fester. On November 2, 1984, Velma Barfield was executed by lethal injection, becoming the first woman in the United States to be put to death after the reinstatement of the death penalty in 1976. Section 9. A Legacy of Questions. Velma Barfield's story is a tragedy on many levels. Born into a life of hardship, she faced numerous challenges from a young age. Her early years were marked by poverty and abuse, shaping her into a person who constantly battled inner demons. A woman shaped by a traumatic past, her life became a cautionary tale of addiction, desperation, and the terrible consequences of unchecked darkness. Her dependency on prescription drugs spiraled out of control, leading her down a path of no return. But her story also raises many questions. How did a seemingly ordinary woman transform into a figure of such infamy? What were the pivotal moments that led her to commit such heinous acts? Was she a product of her environment, a victim of circumstance? Or did she possess an inherent darkness that was merely waiting for the right moment to surface? These questions linger, casting a shadow over her legacy. Or was she a master manipulator, a cunning killer who used her charm to conceal a heart of ice? Her ability to deceive those around her, even those closest to her, suggests a level of calculation that is chilling to contemplate. Perhaps the answer lies somewhere in between. The duality of human nature is a complex and often contradictory force. Velma Barfield's life serves as a stark reminder of this. Perhaps it's a question we're left to ponder, a chilling reminder that the line between good and evil is often blurred. Her story forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about the human condition, and the human heart can hold both light and darkness. In the end, Velma Barfield's legacy is one of questions that may never be fully answered but will continue to haunt us.